Hey everyone, welcome to Homestead Corner. I'm Jenny, and today I want to talk about the best wartime pantry staples. During wartime and conflict, everything that goes on, it is so important to have a big stock of pantry staples in your home so you are prepared to take care of you and your family. I have been looking back at different things and that they stocked during World War II and things like that. What were the best staples to have in their pantries? So I've just put together a little list of things that I think are super important during wartime and conflict. Some of these things could become extremely pricey or absolutely impossible to get. And with the way things are going in this world, it is so important to be prepared right now. You can see all kinds of conflict going on all over the place, and the government, our government, just loves to get into that. So that's enough of our government for me. And so I thought we would just talk about a list of items that are so important to have in your pantry, and they're going to help you have a wide variety of foods and be able to take care of your family for quite a long time in the event that it turns really horrible and lasts a really long time. So let's jump in and look at these staples. So the first thing on my list is rice and grains. They are so important in your diet, and I think they are really important to have in your pantry. Your rice, barley, oats, things like that, any kind of grains that your family really enjoys. All of those dried grains are going to last a super long time when stored properly, and I think it's so important to have those in there. The next thing on my list is pasta and noodles. Again, if you're buying the box pasta at the store, that pasta doesn't have any eggs in it. It's semolina flour, and those are going to last decades stored properly in your pantry, either in Mylar, 5-gallon buckets, or glass jars. However you like to store stuff, I think is great. There's not just one way to do it. Don't let anybody tell you that. You can do it a ton of different ways. You just want to make sure that they are airtight. All of your dry goods, they need to be airtight and stored cool, dark, and dry. The next thing on my list is canned meats. Tuna, chicken, salmon, beef, pork, whatever it is that you like. The bigger variety that you will eat is better, I think, to help with food fatigue, because when you're only getting stuff from your pantry, it definitely gets old and you don't want to be eating the same thing over and over. So try out all those different kinds of meats, see which ones work for you, and stock those in your pantry. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, but you want to make sure you've got a good protein source in there. The next thing on my list is canned and dried beans. I think both are super important. We don't buy a whole lot of canned beans because we can our own because it's so much cheaper, but having both is really important. Your dried beans are going to last for decades and decades in your pantry, and your canned beans make quick, easy meals. So having both of those on the shelf is really important. Canned fruits and vegetables are another one that is a must-have on the shelf. We really struggle with canned fruit because there's not a lot that we like, and they are rather expensive. I do a lot more of the freeze-dried fruit because I know it's going to last, and I can leave it sitting in the pantry without worrying about rotating it so often, because most of your freeze-dried fruits and vegetables are going to last for 20, 25, 30 years and beyond, as long as they're stored properly, cool, dark, and dry. You always want to have those conditions in your pantry. And they didn't really have freeze-dried food back in the war times, but we do have it now, and I think it's great to take advantage of it when we can. And the next thing on my list is nut butters, whether it's peanut butter, almond butter, hazelnut butter, whatever kind of nut butters you like. They provide a nice protein for you, and you can eat it with a spoon, dip crackers in it, whatever you want, however you want to use it. They are great to boost up protein in your diet, and they're delicious. So any kind of nut butters, definitely get those into the pantry. They're not super long-term storage, but they're going to last a few years in there, no problems. We've had peanut butter that is, years past the date that was still good, and we still ate it. The next thing I think is really important is your powdered milks, evaporated milk, canned milk, whatever you want to call it. The powdered milks are great because they are going to go long term, especially the low fat and non-fat ones. They're going to last a lot longer than your full fat. The full fat milks will go rancid faster because of all that fat in there. The fats just are not that shelf stable, and you want to make sure that you've got stuff that's going to last as long as possible. I think it is so important to have those on the shelf. The next thing on my list is canned soups and broths. Broths are wonderful to replace water when you're cooking rice or noodles or any kind of dishes like that. It just adds nutrients and flavor to the dish, which is wonderful. So anytime you can get extra broth on the shelf, that is great. Whenever I boil chicken for my dogs or anything like that, we save the bones and we'll add in a little bit of vegetables, some carrots, onions, celery, garlic, bay leaf, just whatever we have on hand, and whip up a broth with that and can it up. It really doesn't take that long, a few hours simmering on the stove, and it gets a beautiful, rich color, a great flavor, and you can have that in the pantry. So you can take your canned foods with your broth and make a quick, easy soup, or you can use that broth to cook up some of those dried goods that you have to enhance flavor and nutrition. The next thing on my list is dried fruit and nuts. Those are so important. Nuts, again, give you a good protein source. They are great to add into all kinds of stuff. You can crush them up and throw them in salads, which is wonderful, just to add extra protein, flavor, and they are so good for you. Your dried fruits, also absolutely wonderful, and you can cook with them. We use a lot of dehydrated fruits in our muffins and things like that. They get nice and plump when you rehydrate them, and you can just toss them into breads, muffins, cookies, whatever you're making. So you've got that little extra nutrient from those fruits into your little treats. The next thing on my list is sugar and sweeteners. Sugar can be difficult to find in war times when things get really chaotic. It could be hard, especially for people that aren't in an area where it grows. I mean, nobody's growing sugarcane up here in New England, so it could definitely become difficult to find, and you don't want to have to rely on somebody else having it to get it from them in a chaotic time. So making sure we have the sweeteners that we use, whether it's monk fruit, stevia, cane sugar, whatever it is that you use for sweetener, your honeys, maple syrup, all of those are wonderful to have in the pantry. The next thing on my list is salt and seasonings. I always talk about seasonings because I think they are so important in your pantry. Your pantry staples are so bland. Having those seasonings really can be a lifesaver so you don't get food fatigue. And you can make rice and beans 400 different ways if you've got plenty of seasonings. So that is a wonderful thing about seasonings. And salt can be used in so many different ways as well. It's wonderful to cure meat with, and also, seasoning your food, and you can flush out your mouth for canker sores or all sorts of stuff. There's so many things you can do with salt. I think it is definitely a necessity in your pantry. The next thing on my list is teas and coffees. Coffee, I imagine, would be extremely difficult during wartime because having things shipped into the country, it's going to get very, very pricey, and it's climbing constantly already. So if you are a coffee drinker, I think it is so important to get stocked up on coffee and have plenty of the coffee that you like in your pantry for months and months and months. And also teas. Teas are wonderful, and there are so many medicinal teas, and you can make your own teas. We love to grow chamomile, lavender. We put all kinds of stuff from our garden in our teas, different mints, things like that. And you can make so many different blends if you're you're growing herbs, or you can just stock up on teas. They are not going to go bad. The teas are dried really well and are going to last for decades in your pantry when stored properly. You just want to make sure they're airtight. They can lose their oomph over time, but all you have to do is just use a little bit more. It's still going to do the trick. It's still going to taste delicious, and it will give you the medicinal properties you need from it if you're using it for that. The next thing on my list is sauces and things like that. You want to have all those sauces in your pantry. We love to keep like enchilada sauce because I can make enchiladas. I can make enchilada rice, enchilada soup. You can use them in so many different ways. All of your different sauces. We keep a large supply of soy sauce because it is extremely versatile and you can use it in lots and lots of dishes. Lots of sweet and sour dishes, teriyaki dishes, things like that all call for soy sauce, so we keep a really good supply of that, and it is not going to go bad. I get it in glass bottles when I can because it lasts longer in the glass bottle. I don't have to worry about the glass breaking down. Plastic bottles are okay, definitely, if that's all you can get. And that's what you can afford. I know a lot of the cheaper ones are in plastic, and I do buy those as well. But those plastic bottles can break down over time, so they're not going to last quite as long as your glass bottled items. So if you're stocking up on any sauces or flavorings, whenever you can get glass, that's definitely going to last the longest for you. The next thing on my list is instant foods. Those foods that you can just open and eat, whether it's a can of soup, SpaghettiOs, or whatever it is that you like. Instant foods are great to just be able to open and eat. In emergency situations, it can definitely be difficult to, sometimes you may not be able to cook, or you may have so many things to do, you just need something to eat really quick and simple. So having those open and eat foods are really important. And the last thing on my list is vitamins and minerals. We want to make sure that we have all the nutrients that we need. I like to keep a decent supply of vitamins in our pantry to make sure that if we are eating a lot from the pantry, then we don't have as many fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. We love fresh fruits and vegetables, but when you're not getting those fresh ones, you're not getting quite as much nutrition. So you want to make sure you've got plenty of vitamins and minerals to supplement when you're not getting the fresh foods that you normally eat, and to make sure that you're still getting the proper nutrition and you're okay. I know if a war happened, broke out tomorrow and trucking stopped or slowed down, I'm not going to be having any fresh oranges or lemons or anything like that. So I'm going to want to make sure that I've got plenty of vitamin C coming from something else. And, we're not going to have all those fresh fruits and vegetables. So making sure that we have those supplements can be so important. So when you are stocking your pantry, it is really important to make sure you're looking at nutritional value for you and your family, making sure it is foods that you guys like to eat, because there's nothing worse than being in a horrible situation and then having to eat awful food that you don't like on top of that. So making sure you like the foods you're stocking, paying attention to the nutritional value so you have enough nutrition for you and your family, and also the shelf life. You want to keep an eye on that as well. I love shelf-stable foods that last a long time. Canned goods, when I buy them, I want them at least a couple years out, so I know that I can have them on the shelf for a while and I don't have to worry about it. You also want to make sure that you are rotating your stock. So first in, first out. When you buy something new, put it in the back, keep it rotated, eat up that old food first. If it gets too old, it can lose some nutritional value, so you don't really want that, especially in emergency situations, long-term things and things like that. When there's an emergency, you want to make sure that your food is nutritious and delicious as possible. If you have other staples that you think are important in your pantry, that people you think they must have, put them in the comments down below. It really helps people out with new ideas or things they just might not have thought of. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!